Welcome back to another edition of the Unknown Sports Podcast. My name is AJ Musser. Joined with me, as usual, is Hunter Harris and Austin Fyffe. Guys, interesting week of football. Hunter, your Packers were in London visiting the Queen, I believe, at her memorial or after. I don't know how they do it there. But kudos to them for reaching out and being over there and playing the Giants while they were there.
I think they were spending more time having tea and crumpets or whatever the heck they eat over there.
Than they sure as hell weren't playing good football.
No, definitely not.
Let's actually, I kind of do want to start there with that game, Hunter. Do you have any reasoning as to why your Packers just look so awful this season?
No, but I have a reason to segue this conversation. We have a beer of the day that AJ is totally forgetting about here. Mainly because
he doesn't have one.
He doesn't have one.
The storyline continues.
Carly, I will give you slack. If I saw this in the fridge, I 100% would think that AJ bought it for us to drink. Totally fine. Not going to give you any slack or any flack over that. But we have the Boulevard Brewing Company Southwest Lager. Boulevard is one of my absolute favorite brands. Missouri brand as well. Kansas City, right, AJ?
Yep. So actually, the funny thing about that, though, is that when we went and bought those beers, Carly also bought a Boulevard variety pack. And so I think she got that confused with what was in the variety pack. So that one's an honest mistake.
Completely honest mistake. We will not give her any flack at all.
Did you enjoy this beer, though? What beer is it again, Hunter?
It is the Southwest Boulevard Lager.
The Southwest, did you enjoy it? She said it'd be good with a taco.
Ooh. Well, I'm having Chinese tonight, so we're going to see how this matches.
All right. Austin, give me your takes then while Hunter eats his Chinese and sips his beer.
And stays out of the conversation.
What did you think about the Giants and the Packers?
I thought we saw a lot of what we already know about these teams, and that neither one of these teams are great. And when it turns out when the Packers become entirely one-dimensional, because for whatever reason they do that for spurts of the season where they just forget to run the football, it's not very successful when you also don't have any wide receivers.
Yeah, that doesn't help. It never does. When Randall Cobb's your go-to, or Alan Lazard, or name any other current Packer receiver, it's not gonna bode too well for you. But the Giants in this game, they eventually started putting it together a little bit in that second half and went on a good run. If this Giants team makes the playoffs, do we pencil in Saquon Barkley for at least a top 2 finish in the MVP race? Because there's no chance this team goes that far or has this record that they even have right now without Saquon.
I think in this case you're right. With running back, we don't really throw him up there a whole lot, but he is kind of like that entire offense. Which is the right thing to do as well. The Giants are a good football team, okay? Austin, I am sick and tired of you not giving them enough respect. I gave them respect on last week's episode. I'm doing it again this week. Yes, my Packers did not play well at all offensively, especially in that second half. It's like when our script runs out, we don't know how to play offense anymore, and we forget, like you said, Austin, that we need to run the football, and that's literally the only thing we have going for us offensively right now. But the Giants are a good football team, and they're a very well-coached football team. This is the best version I think we're going to see of them. And Brian Daboll's bringing that out of them.
I agree with you that it is a well-coached football team. They're not a good football team. It's not a very good roster, but it is a very well-coached roster. And Brian Daboll is bringing out the best of, it seems like, every position on both sides of the football. I know he's not doing the defense, but the defense plays well when it needs to, and the offense clicks on when they need to click.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you, AJ. I think it's a well-coached team. Daboll does a lot of the little stuff that you don't see out of a lot of rookie head coaches. I don't know how closely you guys watch this game, but there was a moment where vintage Rodgers was coming out trying to catch them in a substitution, coming off a dime package in a short field. One of the things that he's better at than probably anybody in NFL history. And the Giants were ready for it, and they stopped their substitution before Rodgers could get to the line, put the big guys back out there, and just played it man up. and it ended up in a negative play for the Packers because they were trying to catch somebody off guard, and actually Rodgers kind of got Rogered. And that's kudos to Brian Daboll. One of many small things that he's getting very right early in his coaching tenure, which should give Giants fans at least a lot of hope for the future.
Which that play you're referring to, there were several plays that game where he did try to catch them in substitutions or offsides, and he got screwed over because he had either a receiver that wouldn't get set, or he had an offensive lineman that wouldn't get set, or the center just didn't snap the ball. And he was furious several times with several guys on that team because that's what Rodgers does. How are you not on the same page?
Then he gets on McAfee every Tuesday, and he just seems like the chillest, happiest guy in the world.
But inside, he's dying.
Yeah, absolutely. We all know he is from a football standpoint.
Just retire.
You would like that.
We're going to figure it out this year. I'm sticking with it.
Relax. Relax. I can't wait for him to break that out again. I hope he does break it out again. All right, let's move on.
Break it out soon.
Let's move on to the Los Angeles Chargers at the Cleveland Browns. Chargers get a sneak away from Cleveland with a win this week, thanks to 2 Cade York missed field goals. But pretty bold call for the Chargers at the end of the game, going for a 4th down. Fire him? Is that your...
Fire him. I'm done with it.
Let's hear it.
I'm so done with Brandon Staley. Okay.
I don't like him either.
I'm with you, man.
I am very much a progressive-minded person when it comes to analytics in football and sports in general.
Mm-hmm.
That was coaching malpractice. That's absolutely idiotic. There was not analytics involved in that decision. And if there was, throw them out the window. That is absolutely ridiculous. There is no instance, and with less than a minute 15 left on the clock, and the opposing team has no timeouts with a backup quarterback who hasn't performed well that day.
Just threw a pick inside the 15-yard line, inside the red zone.
Yes. To have him march the field with no timeouts in order to get you into kicking range, it's absolutely idiotic.
But the problem with the NFL nowadays is coaches can do things like that and then just say, numbers supported it, talk to the analytics team. It takes the decision out of their hands, and now suddenly they're no longer responsible for coaching this football team. The numbers coach this football team.
It's just ridiculous. And if that's the thing, why do you need Staley there?
Yeah. Get someone who's a better coach then. Yeah.
Because it's not a sound team. Like, fundamentally, they're not a sound team. They have a couple freaks on their team that are maintaining this thing together. You have Derwin James on the back end. You have Khalil Mack. I know you don't have Joey Bosa right now because he's hurt, but Joey Bosa, and then you add in Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert. The GM's doing his job. The problem is he failed half of his job when he hired a guy that absolutely hurts his players with decisions week in and week out, and it just happens to be working out, and so he doesn't get really held to the fire. But I think his luck's running out quickly, and it's going to end up costing this team a shot at the playoffs.
Yeah, I wonder if they miss the playoffs, if that is like a sneaky head coach fire we see at the end of the season.
I don't think it's sneaky.
Seen it earlier in the season if he doesn't get bailed out and win games like this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'd be sneaky at all. I mean, he's kind of been the hot shot young gun. I mean, he's not too far off of being the defensive version of Cliff Kingsbury. Everybody declared him a genius and this up-and-coming stud, but then you actually have to go back and look at his record and the decisions that he makes, and none of it adds up to a significant upgrade over anything else they've ever had.
This is like the perfect example of the opposite of the team we just talked about with the Giants. The Giants are a team without a lot of talent that are performing well above because of coaching. The Chargers, on the other hand, have all the talent in the world, and they are underperforming because of coaching.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Let's talk about the Browns for just a minute here. What do we think about this Browns defense? Fronted by Myles Garrett, however you want to say it. I mean, they've given up over 500 rushing yards in the past 2 weeks alone, and they've blown leads. I mean, the 3 losses this season come from the defense not performing. I saw this week that I think they have PFF, so take it with a grain of salt. They have the number 1 offense according to PFF, and they have the number 32 defense, or 31st defense, according to PFF. I believe the Lions are probably
you need to remember
if they're not 31.
The Lions exist there.
Yeah. But still, I mean, this is a team that is really, I mean, they're a pretty good team that just can't win games because the defense just comes up empty in big spots.
Yeah. I mean, they'll get some help in the coming weeks. I don't know how quickly he's going to play, but they did acquire Deion Jones from Atlanta. That'll be a really good piece for them in the middle of the defense. He's not quite the all-pro that he used to be, but he still is going to be a ton of help for him. But I don't want to panic on the Browns defense quite yet. The last 2 weeks, I know you said that the defense was terrible, but last week there was no Myles Garrett, or 2 weeks ago, there was no Myles Garrett or Jadeveon Clowney. This last week, it didn't, to me, the parts of the games that I did watch closely, it didn't really look like Myles Garrett was Myles Garrett. It's going to take him a little while to get back into shape after the car accident they had. And it's just to be expected at this point in Jadeveon Clowney's career that he's just going to miss some games, and he's probably should have missed some others because he's just not quite all the way back yet.
Yeah.
And once everything gets kind of settled down, I don't know that will happen because we've talked about their defensive coordinator in the past and his almost inability to be a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's what my thing with it has been the whole time, has been Joe Woods. I mean, for the past 2 years, that's what I complained about as a Browns fan, was Joe Woods' defensive scheme sometimes is like, you know, I like your idea, I like your theory of what you're going to do with all these defensive backs, but it just never seems to work. So it must not be a very good theory or a great scheme if it's never working. I mean, for this defensive back heavy system to work, you've got to have some sort of pass rush, and your defensive tackles don't do anything. That's why they just went out and signed a defensive tackle as well. I can't think of who it was at the moment. But then, yeah, you have to trade for Deion Jones too to solidify your linebacking core, 1, because of injuries, but 2, because the guys in those positions are like bottom of the league linebackers. Like, you've got great outside linebackers, but needs help in the middle, and you need help stopping the run because all these defensive backs can't tackle to save their lives. I think we spent enough time on these two teams. I think we're good to move on. Let's talk about, you know what? How about them Cowboys, Hunter?
How about them?
How about them, dude? Them and the Rams. I talked about maybe locking up the Dallas last week, and I should have.
Do you think Mike McCarthy is deserving of an extension?
I think he
God, please.
You know, I don't think he's done too bad of a job. I don't know what he does there, but everything's kind of working right now. But I think he at least guaranteed himself next year.
I don't know what to make of this football team, because it's exactly what we talked about last week. They just change what they're doing offensively because Dak's not out there, and suddenly it's all dumbed down and a lot simpler offense, and now they can put up points. That's the main difference I see with this football team. What other main different? What else are we seeing out there that's different between when Dak's there and when he's not?
The offense didn't do anything this weekend. I don't know what game you watched.
Yeah, the defense, I think all
Still
of
put
us,
up 22
including
points.
The defense scored a touchdown and blocked the punt.
But we know what the defense can do, and we already talked about the Rams' offense being behind the 8 ball in pretty much every category.
Yeah. I think, though, everyone this season going into it wasn't very high on the Cowboys because they were like, there's no chance this defense repeats being as good as they were last year. Just doesn't happen with Cowboys teams. Well, guess what? The offense took a major step back. It's coasting right now as an average offense with Cooper Rush, but the defense is phenomenal, and it's what's winning them ball games. Like Austin said, the touchdown and the block punt. I mean, they're doing it at every level. The secondary is playing pretty solid. The pass rush is there, whether Parsons is healthy or not. I mean, Dallas looks pretty good right now, and we all picked the Eagles to win this division. We still confident in that?
Yeah, because the other two teams aren't any good.
I think the Giants are winning that division. Continue.
There's no shot they beat either one of those teams. Anyways, no, this defense is awesome. Dan Quinn is an amazing defensive coordinator. He's not a good head coach.
Yep,
we know that.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I agree.
But he is one of the best defensive coordinators in the last 10 to 15 years. It feels like everywhere he goes and ends up at the defensive coordinator spot, the team is awesome. They feed off of his energy. They feed off of, sound fundamentals and having a couple freaks. He had a couple in Seattle. He's got Micah Parsons, who's, in my opinion, the best player in the NFL right now on the defensive side of the ball. He cannot be stopped. He's the most versatile defender, on top of probably being the most prolific pass rusher right now. And when you have a weapon like that, we've seen it with the Rams the last few years. When Khalil Mack was in his prime back in Oakland, you see those things. When you have that type of talent, the rest of the defense just has to simply do your job. And when that's all you have to do, it's a lot easier for everyone else.
Bingo.
The bigger story here is just how bad this Rams offense is. Austin, you'll like this stat. As of this weekend, the Bears have passed the Rams in total points scored for the season.
Dang. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. New Super Bowl champs?
And probably.
No. No.
This Rams offense is a joke, man.
The offensive line is Swiss cheese, man.
Dude, what is up with that, though? They can't block for Stafford for more than 2 seconds. He's getting destroyed out there. He was they were having replays of him falling down and getting up like he's hurt by the end of the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when half your offensive line is hurt and regressed. Like, it's not a top offensive line this year, and I don't think it's going to be a top offensive line this year. I think this Rams team is going to struggle the entire season, and honestly, the entire NFC West isn't really performing to the level we thought it was going to be. It's not as big and scary as it used to be. 49ers might win this division.
They might.
Behind the great and mighty, powerful Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo. I was actually just going to say that.
Sorry.
It's all right. All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little AFC North again. Let's talk Cincinnati at Baltimore. This was a good game, and it seems like it. Baltimore games just always come down to Justin Tucker because he has to be involved in the game plan somehow. So John Harbaugh just likes to keep these games close so that he can show off what he has in the greatest kicker of all time, right, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even close, to be honest. I mean, he is the best kicker of all time. He's never missed a field goal in the last minute of the game. 17 for 17. He has missed one field goal in the fourth quarter or overtime with the opportunity to tie or go ahead. He is the most clutch player in NFL history. And I know it's weird to say about a kicker, but it's just factual. Like, there's just no other debate on it. When you do your job, I think it's like 96% of the time is what it comes out to. It's just what you deserve. And shout out to Lamar for just becoming a running back in that 2-minute drill. Was the best thing ever. When he just decided, hey, I'm more talented than everyone else is, and I'm faster and more agile, and I know we only need 35 yards to get into Tucker's range. This'll do. I'm just going to do it 4 or 5 times, and I don't care.
Yeah, I think when the Bengals went up by 1 point there, pretty much everybody collectively all was on the same side that this was going to be a Justin Tucker game winner. Because it always is. It always is. He's unbelievably clutch.
Austin, what was that Justin Tucker stat you threw at me last night?
Justin Tucker's field goal to win the game was so perfect down the middle that if the field goal posts were only half a yard apart, it still would have made it.
Precision. The guy's an animal. Opera singer, kicker. I don't know what else he does. But
did you see the interview after the game where he called himself a system kicker?
Is that what he said? He's got a sense of humor. This guy's got it all.
Gave all the credit to the snapper and the holder, and he said, if they do their job at that point, I'm just a system kicker.
It's awesome.
Are we sure that even though they made the Super Bowl last year, are we sure Zach Taylor's a good coach?
No.
Do you agree?
I'm pretty adamant that he's not.
I'm pretty adamant he's not too.
Well, let's hear your case first, Hunter.
My case?
Yeah.
The decision making's terrible. Pretty much across the board. Like, there's so much. This is another team with just a ton of talent on it that if you put anybody else in charge of it, okay, not anybody else, not Brandon Staley.
That Rule's on the market right now.
He is on the market right now, which we need
I
to
don't
hit on.
think he makes them better.
Dude, but he is not doing a good job with this football team. I don't like the way they're using Jamar Chase at all. He's one heck of a weapon, and they don't use him properly at all. He is just basically catching screen passes now. Is that all he does?
Hey,
how many targets did T. Higgins have on Sunday?
He got
We
hurt.
were talking about that when we were watching.
T. Higgins got hurt.
That answers the question then.
Fun Jamar Chase stat to totally back you up 100%, Hunter. I don't know if you realized how right you just were with that sentence. Statistically, based on dropbacks, Jamar Chase has acquired for rounding 0% of downfield targets for the Cincinnati Bengals this year. I believe the exact number was like 3 or 4 total targets on dropbacks, more than 20 yards down the field. What are we doing?
7 catches for 50 yards on Sunday. What is
Travis
that?
Kelce-esque.
Travis Kelce, that's who you go with?
I don't know. He had what, 7 catches?
I go with
like
Hunter Renfrow. That's Hunter Renfrow, dude.
I meant literally this week, not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Add a couple touchdowns there.
Yeah.
Well, let's just, now that we're talking about Kansas City anyway, let's just transition to that game. That's next on the list anyway. Chiefs at the Raiders. It looked like it was going to be a classic Chiefs Raiders game. Austin, we were watching this together, and we kind of predicted the outcome. It kind of went a little off course, but was the same narrative of Vegas is going to make this a close game. The Chiefs are going to do something, and then Vegas is going to capitalize or have a chance, and then Kansas City is going to win it. But Kansas City didn't even have to win this one because Vegas went for 2 after taking a go-ahead touchdown lead, making it, what was the score? It would have been a tying touchdown. If they had kicked a field goal and made it, they would have tied the game. Instead, they went for 2 and didn't get it. And then Kansas City is like, oh, okay, sweet. We got the dub now.
Just to be clear, when you kept
With like
saying,
5 minutes left in the game, right? 4 minutes.
I think it was even, I think roughly that time. But
Okay.
just when you were saying Vegas all those times, you mean like Las Vegas casinos that had their hands in the pot, right? Not the Raiders, because I don't think Josh McDaniel could influence an outcome if you gave him $10 billion to try to figure it out. That dude's lost. Like the only plays that work for that offense, it feels like, is when they're just like halfback dive and Josh Jacobs figures out a way to juke a couple guys out, and then absolute deep balls to Devontae Adams.
Unless he's getting ran into by his own teammates.
He was so mad.
So mad that he fought a camera guy. Just kidding. He just pushed him.
He's gonna get suspended for that.
Yeah.
It's that. What was the technical penalty called? Roughing the passer, correct? Not unnecessary roughness, right?
Yeah.
The one on Mahomes,
the
I'm sorry, the one on David Carr
Yes.
from Chris Jones. Yeah.
How does one
That's
rough
bad.
the passer when they don't have possession of the ball?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy tackling him or was tackling him has the ball.
Has the ball, and then also puts his arms out to the side to brace himself so that his entire weight does not fall on him.
And also, how is that not brought up on the broadcasts at all?
Because it's Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
I just told you that Vegas had their hands in the pot. I thought that was pretty obvious.
It sure seemed like it. That referee, by the way, that I'm forgetting his name now. I put this in our group chat so you guys could watch it. I don't know if you saw this. The referee that was refereeing that game, a couple years ago, Travis Kelce really got onto him specifically for some of the calls that he made, and he's had it out for Kansas City ever since then. And last night was another example of that, where making poor calls in order to throw it one way or the other. And
that, to me, that's just as bad as having a ref gamble.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same premise.
Well, there's a great documentary actually out there, and it's on Netflix. I mentioned this before. I know you're laughing at me.
You mentioned it off the podcast, but yeah, go ahead.
Not on the podcast, right?
No, you haven't mentioned it on the podcast.
I believe it's called like intentional foul or something like that. But it's about Tim Donaghy, the coach or the referee for the NBA a couple years ago that got caught gambling.
Like
on
20
his own
years
games.
ago, almost now.
It's like 10, 15 years ago.
It's almost been 20 years, yeah.
Has it really? Okay.
Yeah, it was like mid 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah, you're that old.
I am that old. But what he
you were a baby and didn't even know what happened.
Where his gambling started was he was basically just going off of how he knew refs treated relationships with certain teams and how there were certain guys that have it out against this coach or he has it out against this player. The same thing is true across the board in sports, and I think that's literally, I'm agreeing with you, AJ. That's as bad as gambling because then you're getting your personal feelings involved and you're calling a game accordingly. And it pissed the Chiefs off last night. I think that's a lot of the reason why they went on their run. I think that Arrowhead crowd, booed for an hour straight because of that play.
Yeah, as much as I rip on Chiefs fans, that was pretty nice on their part to keep the boos going for as long as they did and as loud as they did. I was actually kind of impressed.
The Chiefs' offense was out on the field, and they were booing between plays.
Yeah. And not at the Chiefs.
Right. Yeah, there was a time because I was doing some other stuff while watching the show or while watching the game, and I would look up and I'm like, are they booing Kansas City right now? I'm like, they've scored like 23 points at this point. Where are we booing? And then I was like, oh yeah, that's still going on.
Yeah. It's like the fourth quarter, and anytime the refs good on the mic in general, they're just getting yelled at. Pretty good showing for the Chiefs fans, and the Chiefs not so much for the Raiders.
Do you have any more confidence in a team than the Chiefs when they get smacked in the face early in a game?
And given the same situation, no.
But in general, like games that they've had in past years where they just come out the gates and they get steamrolled for the first couple minutes or the first quarter or two quarters, they come out with their hair on fire, and I feel like they win 95% of those games.
Yeah, they are.
They have this guy at quarterback. I don't know how many Chiefs games you watch. His name is Patrick Mahomes. He's pretty good.
And then they have this guy who coaches him.
Yeah.
And his name, I think, is Andy Reid. And
he's got
also
a mustache.
Very good at eating cheeseburgers, but he calls good plays too.
Yeah. Yeah, he designs them good too. And I'm pretty sure when he was pretty frustrated with that call, I'm pretty sure his mustache was growing as he was yelling. The anger was just filling up his stash. It was incredible. All right, let's talk Week 6 football. Let's start with Thursday night. Austin, I want to talk your Chicago Bears just a little bit. And I want to get your opinion. Washington Commanders at the Chicago Bears. Most people who listen to our podcast, maybe anyone who watches the NFL, isn't too interested in this game because they're like, oh, this is going to be a bad one. But Austin, you and I are going to be tuned in.
We will. And that's because Justin Fields is playing quarterback for the Bears.
That's the only reason I'm tuning in.
Absolutely. Me too. The Fields played well this last weekend. I know we didn't hit him on the recap, but he played well. Finished fourth on this week in QBR.
Heyo.
Completed almost 75% of his passes. He played well. The whole team came out of the gates a little slow, fought back, gave themselves a chance to tie it at the end of the game if it wasn't for a guy who had been elevated from the practice squad after he was claimed from another team, just deciding to not go out of bounds and totally get manhandled.
Cam Dantzler showed him what life would be like in prison if he were to drop the soap in the showers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And hey, at least, I mean, it's not like he stopped a touchdown drive because we don't know what that could have been. But he did, however, really dumbly block somebody in the back on a 50-yard touchdown run by Justin Fields. So at least the same guy didn't cost them 14 points in a game they only lost by 7. That would be grounds for someone to almost get cut. So nothing like that happened. So it's fine. But yeah, Washington's terrible. This is a simple pray that I have any pride left in my team pick here, but I'm locking in the Bears. A pick 'em at home against what I think is one of the worst teams in the NFL. If they can't figure out a way to win this game, I'm gonna have zero hope for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Hunter, what are your thoughts on either of these teams?
I think all of the stuff that you said there, Austin, is great analysis, but I really don't care because it's the Bears, and who cares?
Perfect.
On the Washington side, though, can we talk about this Ron Rivera comment that he had?
Yes, we can.
What was the exact quote? The problem is at quarterback?
He was asked the difference between his team and the other three teams in the division that are 5-0, 4-1, and 4-1, and he answered with a straight face: quarterback.
And that's pretty alarming, since right now the Cowboys quarterback is Cooper Rush,
which he immediately ate crow for and apologized to the media for it, because you're not supposed to say stuff like that. But is he wrong?
Yes, he's wrong.
There's a lot of things wrong with this football team, but it starts at that quarterback position.
No, it starts with the offensive line that's almost now given up 10 more sacks than any other team in the league. That's where it starts. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to defend Carson Wentz. He's terrible. I don't want that to turn into this. But the fact that he blatantly called out his quarterback, it would not surprise me if he's fired before the end of the season. His new general manager just went out and acquired that quarterback, and for him to completely throw him under the bus immediately after not having much success as the Commanders head coach, it would not surprise me if he's the next guy fired.
That's fair. Austin, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock up the Bears with you, just because I want to see Justin Fields get this dub. I want to see the Bears get this dub. I think Washington's really bad, and it's a pick 'em. I mean, there's the spread's even in this one. So
they're wearing the orange helmets, orange jerseys, orange helmets.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really sway me. If you say it does, cool. But I'm going with you.
Teams wearing their alternate helmets this season are undefeated against the spread. Look good, feel good, play good.
Oh, against the spread. Okay, I was going to say Arizona lost, but okay, you're right, though. All right, let's move on to the next one on the agenda. Hunter, you've been pumping this team up all day. We talked a little Ravens. Let's talk Ravens Giants. Baltimore's a 5-point favorite on the road. Hunter, should the Giants take a little offense to this, being 5-point underdogs at home at 4-1?
Yes, they should. They're at home, and they have had no reason, honestly, to this point for Vegas to be down on them. Baltimore's great at running the football. I think the Giants can stack up pretty well against them defensively. I don't see why this game is going to be high scoring at all. If I could, I would just bet the under in this game. But I do like the Giants to at least cover at home against this team.
Just want to keep a running scoreboard here. Austin, AJ, Vegas, all on the side of Giants not that good. But Hunter's got the other side.
I do.
Austin, should we also just team up and lock the Ravens in this one?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
I'll do it. I'm kind of confident in it.
Oh, why not?
I said I'm kind of confident. I didn't say I was totally confident.
I couldn't remember if I already had my 3 locks.
The only thing that I would
in the first quarter, and I
actually that is exactly what would happen. That's like me playing Naheem Hines in fantasy because I feel like he's going to have a good game. Look how that turned out. Thanks, guys.
Very unfortunate for you. The Giants are winning football games basically without a quarterback right now because they're not asking him to do anything at all. They'd rather put Saquon back at Wildcat than have Daniel Jones make any decisions with the football at all, which is fine because defensively they're doing enough and running the ball they're doing enough. So they're just asking the quarterback not to make mistakes. Problem is that quarterback likes to make a lot of mistakes, and the second they depend on him at all, it's all going to fall apart. Is this the game where that happens? Could be.
Probably.
Could be. But I do think I believe in them at home.
Can't wait for like week 10 or 11 to roll around if the Giants still have a halfway decent record, and then people be like, Daniel Jones is earning himself an extension, when it's so obvious this coaching staff wants no part of Daniel Jones being their quarterback.
Yeah.
And people are still going to try to drum it up and make it a story.
Yeah, no, Austin, that is spot on. Like, you can tell with how they're running this team this season, Dable's trying to what he's doing is he doesn't care about getting the high draft pick. He wants to show the free agent market that, hey, we can win here with whatever talent we have. If we bring in good talent, we will be a really good team. This guy's not our quarterback. We are it's not, how we talked about with Chicago running the ball too much and not letting Fields work to see if he can be the guy. And now Chicago's kind of getting away from running the ball purely because they want to let Fields find out if he's the guy. Giants aren't doing that. Giants know what they have. GM and coach, it's not their guy. So they're like, hey, thanks for being here for the year. We're going to let you ball out and audition for other teams. But at the end of the year, we'll just part ways really nicely.
They're not even letting him ball out. They'd rather him stand out at receiver and take more snaps out there than ball out.
If Carson Wentz garnered a 3rd round pick next year, it would not surprise me at all if the Giants figure out a way to franchise tag him and get a 2nd out of him.
And the team that goes out and gets him is Washington.
I was going to say Carolina, but yeah, that too.
Oh, yeah. That'd be pretty fitting. But they'll have Baker next year.
No, they won't.
No, they won't.
Sam Darnold will be gone too.
Yeah.
They'll
have the money to do it.
Not a lot of talk about Daniel Jones and his similarities with Eli Manning anymore.
No,
because he moves.
Sad.
Yeah.
That's why. Much better running quarterback. It's not even comparable.
It's not. Like, if you want to talk just purely running skills, they are not even playing the same sport.
All right, let's talk. Next game on the list. Looks like we've got Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh. Tampa Bay 8-point favorite on the road. Hunter, we kind of talked a little bit pre-show that you kind of had some stuff to say about Tampa Bay's offense. What do you think about Tom Brady in this? I don't know. I don't know what to make of this Buccaneers team. I don't really like them.
I don't think Tom Brady really likes them.
Well, he's checked out.
Yeah, he seems disinterested. This feels like the classic 1 year too many.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. He's checked out. He's got divorce stuff he's got to work through. He doesn't have time. He wants to go work on his TB12 brand and go hit the golf course.
They are clearly sleepwalking through this season. Absolutely sleepwalking.
And they're still going to win a division.
Yeah.
Not if Jameis has anything to say about it.
Jameis doesn't have
Andy
anything
Dalton?
to say about it.
Yeah, they're sleepwalking through this season right now, and that roster is so good that they can sleepwalk through this season and still probably make the playoffs. But I think a lot of people are going to talk about the roughing the passer call at the end of this game. I don't really want to even touch on that at all. It's just, to me, I don't like. I don't know if he came back for an extra year here because of pride or whether it be contract or whatever.
Whether he hates his kids.
He doesn't want to spend time with his wife. Whatever it might be, he is completely mentally checked out of this season.
Yep.
Does he retire next year? What do you guys think? Is this his last year?
See,
it's gotta be.
But Austin, is it though?
I know.
What does he want to go somewhere else? Is that
he could
really
be so
what this
pissed off
is?
he
That
could
he
go to
wants to
another
go
team.
somewhere else? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I think he's under contract next year.
So,
There's no way Tampa
he's
trades
Tom
him.
Brady. He could get out of that immediately.
There's no
and demand a
way.
trade.
Bruce Arians said last year that they would someone have to give him 5 first-round picks to trade.
That's
Tom
Bruce
Brady.
Arians. It's Todd Bowles as coach now.
He's also not the one in charge.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole Tampa Bay is just a mess right now. Like, with all of those storylines that we don't talk about on a weekly basis that aren't even on the field, and everything that's behind the scenes. And it's just, it seems ugly.
They are so close to still being a great football team. The NFC is really up for the taking. It sucks to see a team just throwing in the towel this early in the season mentally, and they have such a great roster as is. It does not make sense to me.
Tom Brady is a free agent after the season, and he has a no tag clause as well. So if he does want to go somewhere else, he really could.
Yeah.
This is his last season as a Buccaneer, for sure.
God, can you imagine if he went to San Francisco and won up Jimmy G again?
I think because honestly, I don't think it really is a Tom doesn't look good. It's a Tom looks disinterested and doesn't give a flying fladoodle. Like,
I will say I did notice, and not this week, in the previous week, it was the first time I've ever questioned the zip on Brady's throw.
Oh, I questioned that when he was in New England.
Well, I know there was moments there, but what I'm saying is that there was a couple throws where they just look like they floated. You know how like the lower tier quarterbacks, you throw an out route
or Drew Brees,
yeah, it's not just on them.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like, and more than once. Like it was the first time that I was just like, but you're right. It could just be uninterested, leads to sloppy mechanics, leads to just him being average.
Yeah. The other side of the coin here, though, is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have a bit of a pep in their step now that they've put Kenny Pickett in as the starting quarterback. Lots of positivity outside of Mike Tomlin, who wasn't too happy about the loss against the Bills on Sunday. But with the fans and I think the Steelers beat writers pretty optimistic about Kenny Pickett throwing over 300 yards, even though they only had 3 points to show for it. What did you guys think, or what do you guys make of Kenny Pickett so far?
Go ahead, Austin.
One at a time. Yeah.
I was just curious if any of the peps and steps will lead to a touchdown. Will that ever happen?
I am so sick of us celebrating this quarterback already. People were talking about how much potential he had when he threw 3 interceptions when he came in last week. Yep. Why?
Because Pittsburgh's a media darling.
Hunter, I'll tell you why I think that he's a good quarterback or could be a good quarterback. I'm not going to say he could be great or fascinating or a superstar or anything like that, but he can be a good quarterback in the NFL because he gets the ball out of his hands. He gets it out quickly. He anticipates. He sees the field. He's got some zip on the ball, not a ton, doesn't have an incredible arm, but he's accurate. All of the things that like people talked about what Baker could be, he's got like the same kind of tools Baker has, maybe a little bit less of an arm, but the guy lets the ball go on time. He sees the field, he anticipates, sees where his read is, and snaps it out. Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
I think most of the time.
Throw 1 touchdown, and then we can have this conversation.
He has thrown a touchdown.
No, he has not.
He's ran 2.
Oh, yeah, he's ran 2. Sorry.
He's thrown 4 picks, and other than that, he's run for touchdowns.
Yeah, the pick he threw this weekend, he only threw 1 in this last game, and it was a bad interception. It was definitely a rookie mistake. But that team's also had a lot of drops, but also at the same time that receiving core has made a ton of really nice plays. They're really good athletes, and I think if you put the ball in their hands, it'll help out. But right now, the Steelers don't have a run game either. So it's pretty much like, hey, Kenny, go throw. I mean, he threw the ball 52 times on Sunday. How many rookie quarterbacks are going out there throwing the ball 52 times?
All of them that are down 5+ touchdowns because they didn't play well enough to score.
That's true. All right. Well, I tried Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I tried to talk up your guy and just got it shoved in my face. So that's what I get. Let's move on.
We can have that conversation someday, hopefully.
Yes.
But today is not the day.
Yeah, I'm with Hunter. The fake praise because people just want to praise a young quarterback because all they've done for the past 6 to 8 months is tear down Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and Mac Jones and everyone else that's come out because they haven't hit the ball or hit the ground running.
Yeah.
They're just searching for a young quarterback to be good, and they, for whatever reason, picked Kenny Pickett.
He's also the only one that was drafted in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only one playing. It feels like everyone's just given up on the last year's quarterbacks.
It does feel that way.
Why can't Bailey Zappi be the chosen one? Come on.
It is hilarious. Quick side note before we get too far away from that. The people that are acting like it's impossible that Bailey Zappi becomes the full-time starter this year, Drew Bledsoe was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL when he was benched for Tom Brady. You think he's going to bench a rookie or a guy on a rookie contract that turns the ball over way more than Belichick wants him to for a guy that he took also? He will not hesitate.
Yeah. Austin, you and I actually talked about this maybe yesterday or Sunday. I don't remember. But we were totally on the same page with this. I know we're branching way off from Pittsburgh, Tampa. We're going to move on just to this little talk now. But why the Patriots have no loyalty or don't need to have any loyalty to Mac Jones just because he got you to the playoffs last year or helped get you to the playoffs last year. If Bailey Zappi gets thrown into this system and is like, whoa, he can actually do a little bit more good things than Mac Jones could do. But Mac's healthy again. Let's just put him back out there because he was the starter. Bill's not going to do that.
No,
Bill's going to go with whoever the better quarterback is.
Yep.
They're both young guys that have a lot of growing up to do. But if this guy shows more potential with throwing the football and looks like he's got a better feel for throwing the football, he's not going to move off of Zappi.
Small fun fact about Bailey Zappi, if anybody needed another reason to like him, in his junior college before he was at Western Kentucky, one of the side walls of the stadium they played in was actually a CVS building.
A CVS building?
Yes, the actual store was part of the outer structure of the stadium because it was not in a full stadium itself.
Was the pharmacy drive-through on the field?
I really hope it was straight through the seats, like just like
one of the tunnels.
Yes, one of the tunnels also has cars picking up their prescriptions.
All right, well, that's enough Bailey Zappi talk. Unless you've got anything you want to add, Hunter.
No, another quarterback though that we don't really need to spend a lot of time talking about because he hasn't done anything. Continue.
Okay.
Someone's a grumpy bit.
Yeah, goodness gracious.
I'm just so sick of people just having conversations about quarterbacks that haven't done anything at all, like they are the second coming, and they have literally achieved nothing. Like, nothing.
Hey, if you're talking about what I just said about Kenny Pickett, too, I said he could be good. I said he could be good, and I clarified that he didn't say he was going to be great. I said he could be good.
I'm talking to the collective group of the media. AJ, I would never come against you, dude. You're our host. You have great takes always. Your locks are especially above average.
Hey,
sometimes.
you and I got the same amount of locks right this weekend. All right, let's move on. Actually, it's the same game, too. This is the game we've been waiting for, and I think I said week 1 we were pretty much waiting for. We've got Buffalo, Kansas City on Sunday. Gonna be a good one at Kansas City at Arrowhead. Buffalo's a 3-point favorite. Austin, I want you to kind of lead off. What expectations do you have for this game? Is this supposed to be game of the year?
Loser of this game goes to the Super Bowl.
Ooh, spicy.
Loser of this game gets the loss in the regular season, comes back, gets revenge in the playoffs, and then we'll end up in the Super Bowl.
All right.
Which really sucks because I think Buffalo's going to beat them by a touchdown at least. But this feels like, one of the old. I shouldn't say the old. It kind of feels like the old regard of quarterbacks. The Brady versus Manning. Brady, Roethlisberger, all that kind of stuff. That feels like that's genuinely brewed to a point now where no one can really ignore it. With what we've got, Allen and Mahomes, and I don't know. I'm so excited for this game. I can't wait. I'm so excited to finally have what should be a good old fashioned barn burner with just so much talent and so much fun on the field that at any point there could be a touchdown from literally anywhere on the field.
Yeah, I'm excited too that it's a late afternoon game.
Yep.
I'm excited that I don't have to wait all day for this game. I get it sandwiched right in the middle of my noon games and the Sunday night game.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be the game on the big TV. What about you, Hunter?
I am excited about that too. I love that my 3:00 window finally, after last week especially, has a good game.
No, we've had the past 2 weeks. There's been 6 total 3:00 games, and they haven't really been the greatest. But go ahead, keep going.
But scheduling wise, the NFL kind of messed up by not putting that Sunday night, right? Why are the Cowboys getting preference? I know they get more viewers because
it's the Cowboys. That's why.
Drives me nuts.
We'll talk about that game here in a little bit. It'll be a good one, but let's focus on this Buffalo, Kansas City.
There's really no reason that this game shouldn't end up 50-50 again, to be honest.
I know, and it's so exciting.
But I can't wait for the Chiefs to come out run heavy in this game. They will come out run heavy in this game. And It's going to suck because they're going to get behind, and then they're going to try to catch up. But
God,
there really should be a 1 million points scored in this game.
Connor, can we just decide to take a mutual bet right now and just bet the over points in the third quarter?
Yes. I will 100% jump on that board with that. There's going to be so many points scored.
Like little bit of a feel out, little bit of feel out, and then a couple adjustments get made, and then just boom.
Mm-hmm. It's exactly what this game should be. And I don't really think either way, whoever wins this football game it's going to say a lot about their football team. We know how good both these teams are. We know how great both these offenses are and how great both these quarterbacks are. I am locking up the Chiefs, though, just because they are at home, and it is a 3-point favorite for Buffalo going into Arrowhead. Why? That does not make sense to me. This should be at least a pick 'em. That's saying in a neutral site they're a 6-point favorite. Austin, I know you said that they might beat them by a touchdown. Why do you think that is? Why?
Because I don't think it's close that Buffalo's the best team in the NFL right now. I really don't. I don't think it's particularly close. I think the efficiency that Buffalo has on the offensive side of the ball, the pass rush depth that they have on the defensive side of the ball. We saw
their secondaries played well too, even banged up.
The pass rush that Oakland got, or Oakland. Wow, that's a big mess up on my part.
Yeah,
Vegas.
You gotta correct yourself and say Las Vegas.
So that the Raiders got on Monday night really gave the Chiefs fits. So with Buffalo being able to constantly rotate 6 or 8 guys through that defensive line and keep everyone fresh, it could really have some problems for Kansas City. Eventually they'll figure it out because they have the best quarterback in the NFL. But I think Buffalo could get out to a pretty decent lead, and Buffalo's not the normal team that Kansas City can come back on.
The Bills should have 5-6 sacks in this game.
At least.
No chance.
But if the Chiefs do this right, they come out and they run the football and they play defense and they're able to control this game. Will that happen? I don't know.
Can't we just have a handshake agreement that we're just going to treat this game like Madden between McDermott and Andy Reid?
No, I think both of them are going to keep their cards like I don't think either team is going into this game wanting to show anything because they both know they're going to meet each other in the postseason, and that's the game that matters.
I disagree. This game is essentially for home field advantage.
Not a lot of gimmicky plays, maybe. You think, or a lot from the Chiefs?
I think we'll get maybe 1 or 2 each side. Like, I don't think it'll be overwhelming.
Also, it's funny. I say that, but now they do that little pitch play to Kelsey like 4 times a game, and it's not even a gimmicky play anymore. It's a legit part of their offense. It's
Everybody
like
does it now.
Everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Funny.
No one executes it nearly as well, but the Chiefs do. The Chiefs do it really well.
Yes, they do.
All right, let's move on. Seems like that conversation ran dry. Actually, let's pick this one real quick. Hunter, you picked the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Austin, you picked the Bills.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Bills too. But I don't want to go Bills because that means the Chiefs, according to your theory, are going to go to the Super Bowl, and I really don't want that.
Then just take the Chiefs, dude.
The Chiefs aren't going to win this game. The Bills are going to win this game. All right, let's move on to the Sunday night game. We've got the Dallas Cowboys at Philadelphia, going to get pelted with batteries. 5-point favorites are the Philly Eagles. Hunter, what do you think about this Philly team? Are they legit?
No, they're
not. Are they too legit? Are they too legit to quit?
Therefore, they must quit. They are not a legit football team.
He's saying they are unlegit.
But I love Jalen Hurts, so I want them to be legit. Anyone else with me? Anyone else just love Jalen Hurts? Every time he has any post-game interview, I'm just like, man, this guy's just awesome.
He's really good at the podium. That's a good call.
Yeah.
He's
I
really
mean,
good.
he's a really good dude, even going back to the stuff in college. Like, he's just a good person. There's lots of stuff. When the stadium started to collapse underneath his feet, going out of Washington last year. Yeah. He
sidesteps the rail and helps the people.
Yes. Helps everyone else up. Instead of, just taking off out of there mad that the stadium's falling around him. 100% right, Hunter. I think everybody wants him to be good, and this Eagles team to be great.
But do you think they are, Austin? Because I
no,
because
I don't think Jalen Hurts is that good.
Yes, and it's just it can work in the regular season. We see it over and over and over again. Lamar Jackson is literally doing it right freaking now in this season, and they're talking about giving him the MVP. But we know when it comes to playoffs, it is a different ball game.
I actually like Philly's scheme with Hurts better than I like Baltimore's scheme. I think that's why Philly could make a decent little run in the playoffs, is because now they have a scheme that works. It's not all this. It's not as heavy run as it was last year, but they haven't abandoned the run at all.
Just take one read away.
Yep. And that's what I was going next, Hunter, is that Jalen Hurts doesn't decide if this team wins the Super Bowl. The defense doesn't decide if this team wins the Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni decides if this team wins the Super Bowl. Because if he does not come out and be the best play caller on the field every single week down the stretch of the regular season and in the playoffs, they've got no shot.
Yeah.
When they get to a good team that can take away Jalen Hurts' first read, his passer rating goes down like 70 points. Like it's such a drastic drop off. He's so good when he sees it and lets it rip. But the second that he has to read the defense and work through progressions, he's below average. Like he's not even average. And I just don't see why all of a sudden that's going to change. It's why he got benched at Alabama.
By all accounts, Jalen Hurts is one of the hardest workers in the National Football League.
I hate hearing someone's a hard worker.
And I hate it too.
You ever seen him squat?
I hate it too.
Have you ever seen him squat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only every week.
This is the truth then.
Seen Nick Chubb squat too. That guy squats the entire weight room. I think even the people in the weight room have to sit on the bar when he squats.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts does too, and he's like 12 inches taller.
You're absolutely on it though, AJ. Where I was going with that, he might be the hardest worker in the NFL, but when that's the first thing they bring up about you, that's not good.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Yep.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up our previews. It looks like I've got one more game I've got to lock up. Austin, why don't you share your locks for the week with the people while I decide?
Grossest pick of the weekend. Not even close. Carolina plus 10.5. 10.5 points. Just a ton in the NFL.
Going up against a not great Rams team.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the only really good part of that team is the defensive line, which will give the Rams some fits. Because their offensive line is not good at all. You get a little nice boost because everyone in that building hated Matt Rule and he is fired.
Adios, senor.
Which deservingly so. But everybody, even Christian McCaffrey, was noted being audibly irate, I think was the exact quote I heard, in the locker room. Before the media was even allowed in, they could hear him yelling at Matt Rule. Once you've lost McCaffrey, who's one of the nicest people in the NFL, I think your luck has ran out with everyone else in the locker room as well. So they'll get a nice little boost. No Baker Mayfield this week. PJ Walker will take what's given to him, and they will not win this game, but they will cover 10.5.
Also,
what if McCaffrey gets moved this week to Buffalo, though?
Then I null and void my pick, and I will join Hunter with my last lock.
Okay.
In addition to all of that, this would require the Rams putting up at least 11 points in this game, and I don't know if they can do that.
It's very true. And I think Carolina could get one touchdown out of spite to Matt Rule, which then they would have to score 18, and yeah, no chance.
Yeah, return the opening kickoff back for a touchdown.
No one talks about the real problem with this team. Baker's not living at the stadium. If he was living at the stadium like he was in Cleveland, this would be a totally different football team.
You're right.
That's really the problem. If he just gives a guy a nachos during the game, which he could do that starting this week because he's not going to start again.
Austin, what were the rest of your locks?
I locked up Chicago, as I said earlier, and then we co-locked up Baltimore there.
All right. Hunter, give us your 3 locks for the week.
My one lock, I already said Kansas City at home get 3 points against the Bills. I just don't see that at home. They have to cover. I am taking my bet on two, currently at least, poorly coached football teams. With my other two locks here, I'm taking Cleveland against New England just because running the football and manufacturing enough offense, they should cover that at home. Should is the word there. They should have won the last 2 weeks as well. I guess
should be undefeated.
They should be undefeated right now.
If you want to say should be, if you want to play the should be game, yeah, they should be undefeated.
But I have to stick with it. They're a good football team. I'm going to pick them. And the last one, I'm going to go with the Chargers just because as much as I hate picking them right now, Justin Herbert is too good to score more than 12 points in a game, which I think is less than what Denver's going to get because that offense is god-awful. And can we please stop putting them on prime time? I know that we commit to it at the beginning of the year when we look at these rosters.
No flex scheduling until week 14.
And there's no flex scheduling until week 14. But it drives me nuts.
Move that up to week 7.
Or 6.
How do we toss these teams out of being on television at all as quickly as possible?
Primetime game?
It's at least 3.
I think I think
opening
Austin's
night
right with 3.
Opening night, last Thursday night, and then Monday night. I think that's all 3. I think.
Didn't they play a Sunday night game?
Oh, maybe.
3 too many.
I know they were supposed to have. They have either 6 or 7 total on the season this year, they said. Most in the NFL.
Also, the Chargers are at home. 5 points, I'll take it all day.
Hunter, which one of those 2 picks, Cleveland or the Chargers, do I get if Christian McCaffrey gets traded before the game starts?
You got to bet on Brandon Staley, my good sir.
Oh, my God, I hate you. God, I hate you. All right, fine. Rules are rules.
All right. So my locks for the week, Austin, you and I went hand in hand with the Bears and Baltimore, but Hunter, I'm gonna lock off against you in the Browns Patriots game.
Bailey Zappi, man, let's go.
I am, dude. You brought up you think that the coaching is going to be the difference, and I do too. New England's going to win this game. New England's going to walk away with the dub and win outright.
That'd be a really bad loss.
Cleveland's going to go into a dumpster fire, and Joe Woods will be fired next Monday.
Ooh, that would make you happy.
Nothing makes me happy.
This is so true.
Hunter, what'd you think of the beer?
I liked it, man. I love every Boulevard
Show us the
beer.
glass, dude. Show us the can. How much
this
did you
is
drink?
Listen, this is the result of me trying to quit. No, I'm just kidding. I did not drink a whole lot of this beer, but I did enjoy it. It is a good lager, big lager guy. I will be buying this beer again. But I don't have any tacos over here, so I couldn't get too far into it.
How would you do on the Chinese? Did you at least try to pair it with an egg roll?
I tried.
Did you dip it?
Didn't gel a whole lot.
Did you dip it?
But think about it, man.
That might be one of the worst combinations I've ever heard.
Some Boulevard Southwest.
Egg rolls are just Chinese tacos.
You get a nice pint of beer and just dunk your egg roll in it? No, thank you.
Egg rolls are just Chinese tacos.
I don't dunk my tacos in my drinks. All right. I think that pretty much wraps it up. We're going nowhere with this anymore. Thank you for listening, everyone. Until next week, take it easy.